Dr. Benga, who's the head of oncology.
Nice to meet you. Yes, welcome, welcome. Nice to meet you.
Hey, brother, how are you? Great to see you.
You can sit right here if you like.
Let me see those boxing gloves.
Come on.
All right.
Come on.
Come on.
Come
All
on.
right. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be out here with you.
Well, tell us a little bit about, because Tad just really felt like it's one thing for somebody to be in the circumstance, but a doctor who sees this all the time. What has been unique about Tad's, from diagnosis to process that you've seen, and how his faith has played a role in his life?
His faith has been unbelievable in the sense that the average person comes in and is, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? And I tell you, right from day one, at every visit, he comes in with a warm smile and laughter. And it's like you could see that physically he's certainly suffering, but he always cracked the most amazing jokes.
Don't encourage
always
him now.
made
Don't
everyone,
encourage him.
kind of like laugh. And despite one thing after the other happening, he stayed very, very positive. And anytime you speak to him on the phone, it's like, wait a minute, is this the same person that's supposed to be going through X, Y, and Z? So if you look at the statistics for patients that unfortunately develop metastatic pancreatic cancer, the statistics would tell us that if you look at the best of best studies, that for the average individual, the median overall survival ranges, unfortunately, between 8 months to 12 months. I mean, these are patients that are, world-class athletes that go on to get, chemotherapy and all the modalities and what have you. I've often said he's too stubborn to obey the laws of natural madness. And he comes in, and the other outstanding thing about him is most people, even with faith, for the most part, would hide it. Just to some degree, the nature of our society and how things are at. But he would come into the office always quoting scripture, and I'm like, wow, this guy. I mean, I have the tendency to pray with my patients. I don't hide that. That's something I tend to do. And he's like the first one I say, aren't you praying with me today? Let's go and pray before we start out the office visit as is. It's really been amazing. I mean, and the fact that despite what he's going through, believe you me, I see patients with pancreatic cancer all the time. For him in his suffering to be doing this tonight, I tell you, this is an individual that knows what it is to be a true Christian. To him that has ears, let him hear all that he has to say tonight. Because this is unprecedented to a significant degree. I have people that go through grief, bitterness related to the disease, especially when, unfortunately, we're coming towards the end by man's understanding. But this is a person that knows where he's going tomorrow if the Lord calls him home tomorrow.
Well, one question on that, because you talked about the difference. There's sort of verses in the Bible that sound ethereal and abstract and irrelevant, and it's one thing to see it. And there's a verse in the Bible that says that when you grieve, we don't want you to be like those who grieve or mourn with no hope. And that grieving doesn't just include death. It's also the grieving of the loss of my health. I'm grieving the loss of years I had expected to do X, Y, and Z. It says we don't want you to grieve like those who have no hope, but rather to rub your hope, the hope of the gospel, into your grief. And Christianity often is either looked at as stoicism, I'm fine, I don't feel anything, or it's looked at, which is kind of, I control my feelings, or emotionalism, my feelings control me, where I'm just up and down based on my circumstances. How were you able, Tad, to rub the hope into your grief?
It's just by faith. And there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. We go in and out. You know, I mean, nobody likes going through grief, all right?
Yeah.
But at this stage of the game for me, most of the time I can say, all right, Lord, what am I going to learn off of this piece of grief? And I've got to admit, you know, as much as there's times when I'm not, you know, happy about, you know, I'm not ever happy about having cancer.
Sure.
But I'm in God's hands, you know, and I want to, everything I do, I am now doing for Him. There is nothing that I can say I'm doing for myself because it's out of control for me, you know. Everything is in His hands, and now my mind can get there, and, you know, I'm totally relying on Him. You know, as I grew up, I was fairly competent at various things.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm going to be honest about it, when is it that I really totally relied, you know, on God? There have been times, but there's never been the extended period of time where I've totally relied on God the way that it has happened over the past year.
Sure.
But in honesty, I haven't had that kind of grief, you know, over that period of time. And all I can tell you is I love Him that much more.
Yeah.
You know, it's just unbelievable. And the more you get to know Him, the more you can love Him.